Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into something you, our listener, asked about light pollution. And specifically, its surprisingly wide-ranging impacts.
Yeah, it touches on so much more than just seeing the stars, doesn't it?
Exactly. And you wanted knowledge that sticks without getting overwhelmed. So that's our goal here as we dig into the sources you send over.
And it's quite a mix we've got. There's a keynote from the Fountain Hills Dark Sky Festival, some really good info from the International Dark Sky Discovery Center, and of course, key resources from Dark Sky International.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack how all this artificial light at night messes with wildlife, our own health, astronomy, even energy use.
And importantly, look at the solutions. What's being done to, bring back the dark skies?
Okay, let's jump in. What's the starting point here, the foundation of this issue?
Well, what's really striking, I think, is how new this all is. Amy Burnett mentioned this in her talk. Yeah, widespread light pollution, it's really only been a major thing for, the last 100 and maybe 200 years?
That's incredibly recent when you think about it.
It really is a blink of an eye, historically speaking. And yet the change has been huge.
Huge is right. Burnett also said something like 80% of people live under skies affected by light pollution now.
80%. And most of us, we can't even see the Milky Way anymore.
Think about that. Our ancestors navigated by it, told stories about it. And for most people today, it's just gone, hidden.
That connection is lost, yeah. And she gave that example, Las Vegas. You can see its light glow from Death Valley.
No way. How far is that?
It's about 90 miles away.
Wow. That really shows how far this light spills. Which I guess brings us to the definition. What is light pollution, technically?
Okay, so Dark Sky International defines it pretty simply. It's basically any human-made change to natural outdoor light levels.
So it's not just having lights, it's the type of light, how it's used.
Exactly. And it comes in different forms, too. The Dark Sky Cities list mentions a few.
So?
Well, there's sky glow. That's the big one, the hazy dome over cities.
Okay.
Then you've got glare, that really harsh, bright light that's uncomfortable, even blinding sometimes.
Right.
Light trespass is when light spills where it shouldn't, like into a bedroom window.
Yeah.
And light clutter, just too many bright, confusing lights all grouped together.
Okay, so it's definitely more complex than just, too many streetlights.
Yeah.
Let's talk impacts. Wildlife seems like a huge area. Burnett mentioned owls.
Yes, the owls. It's fascinating and pretty worrying. She talked about how they hunt near roadsides.
Right, using the perch.
Exactly. But then headlights come along. That sudden glare can blind them temporarily. We're talking 5 seconds, maybe even 30 seconds.
Which is forever if you're trying to catch dinner.
It absolutely is. And worse, it can sometimes cause permanent damage, functional blindness.
That's awful. And it's linked to their eyes, right? How they're adapted for darkness.
Precisely. Owls have these huge eyes packed with rods. Those are the cells super sensitive to dim light, amazing for seeing at night.
But not so good with bright light.
Exactly. They have fewer cones, which handle bright light and color, so that sudden headlight glare just completely overwhelms them. Their adaptation becomes a vulnerability.
Wow. A sobering thought, as you said. And it's not just owls, is it? It ripples out.
Oh, far beyond owls. Both Burnett and the Dark Sky list mention a whole range of animals. Sea turtles are a big one.
The hatchlings, right? Getting confused.
Yeah. They naturally head for the brightest light, which should be the moon on the ocean. But coastal lights, they lure them inland instead, away from the sea.
Such a terrible image. And birds, too. Migratory birds.
Huge impact on birds. Burnett cited this staggering number. Around 1 billion migratory birds die each year in the U.S.
1 billion. Just from hitting buildings.
Primarily from collisions, yeah. Often disoriented by skyscraper lights, especially at night. Remember, most migrate nocturnally.
1 billion. That's almost unbelievable. Are there things trying to help with that?
Yes, thankfully. She mentioned the Lights Out Texas program as a positive example, trying to get buildings to dim or turn off lights during peak migration.
That's good to hear.
And, she pointed out about 80% of these birds fly at night, usually between midnight and 6 a.m., often quite high up.
Navigating by the stars?
Exactly. So these upward shining city lights are like giant confusing signals messing up their ancient navigation system.
We're basically putting up light obstacles in their path.
That's a good way to put it.
Right.
And it goes further. Burnett talked about habitat loss without even building anything.
How does that work?
Just the light itself.
Yeah.
Animals might actively avoid brightly lit areas, even if the habitat is otherwise perfect. So the light shrinks their usable world.
Creates these sort of no-go zones made of light.
Yeah, and for bats, she mentioned light can act like a virtual fence.
A virtual fence.
Yeah, separating colonies, limiting their ability to find food or mates, just the light itself creating a barrier.
So we're fragmenting their populations just with light beams.
Yeah.
That's a really different way to think about habitat issues.
It is. And one more subtle thing she mentioned, animals are naturally less active on full moon nights, right?
Okay.
Well, artificial light pollution basically creates a permanent full moon effect every night. It disrupts those natural cycles of activity and rest.
It's like the environment that gives to properly switch off.
Uh-huh.
We're overriding these ancient rhythms. Okay, so we've seen the big impacts on wildlife. What about us? Human health.
Right. Shifting focus to ourselves. This is really important. Both Burnett and the Dark Sky Resources talk about disrupting our circadian rhythm.
Our internal body clock.
Exactly. It controls sleep-wake cycles, hormone release, body temp, loads of stuff. And artificial light at night throws it out of whack.
And sleep is just so fundamental, isn't it? Burnett had that funny line about it.
She did. If someone loves you, they will let you sleep.
And maintain a healthy circadian rhythm.
Yeah, it really gets the point across. And the key mechanism here is melatonin suppression.
The sleep hormone.
Right. Artificial light at night tells our brain not to produce it properly. And the Dark Sky Cities list connects this to things like sleep disorders, maybe even mood disturbances.
So it's not just about feeling a bit tired the next day. There could be longer-term health links.
Well, studies do suggest links between chronic circadian disruption and increased risks for some serious health issues. So yeah, it's more than just aesthetics, it's potentially a public health concern.
Okay, so our lights aren't just blocking the stars. They might be impacting our health directly.
Oh, wait.
What about looking at those stars? Astronomy.
Yeah, naturally, light pollution is a huge problem for astronomy, that sky glow we talked about. It just washes out faint objects, distant galaxies, nebulae. They become invisible, basically. The Dark Sky Cities list really emphasizes this hindrance to research.
Kind of ironic. Our lighting technology stops us from seeing further out, but I saw something positive about the Keck Observatory.
Yes, that's interesting. It's about their commitment to environmental responsibility, actually. Nature Astronomy reported they're aiming for net zero carbon emissions, decarbonizing their vehicles, cutting down on aviation.
So connecting astronomy with tackling climate change.
Exactly. Which ties back in because light pollution is also about wasted energy, which contributes to climate change.
Good point. And seeing the Milky Way from space, like Dr. Chris Birch described from the ISS, that must be incredible.
Imagine being above all that atmospheric haze and artificial light. You'd see the cosmos in a way most of us just can't anymore from the ground.
Which brings us right back to that wasted energy point. All that light shining upwards. It's just waste, isn't it?
Absolutely. The Dark Sky Cities list is very clear. Poorly designed outdoor lighting wastes enormous amounts of energy, lighting up the sky instead of the ground.
And that waste means unnecessary greenhouse gas emissions, burning resources for literally no reason.
Precisely. It's a direct hit to our wallets and the planet.
And beyond the practical stuff, there's that intangible loss too, right? The cultural connection.
Yes, the loss of our night sky heritage. The Dark Sky Cities list talks about this too. For millennia, humans looked up at the stars for inspiration, navigation, understanding our place.
A shared sense of wonder.
Exactly. And when we lose the dark sky, we lose a piece of that fundamental human experience. It diminishes something deep within us.
It feels like losing part of our collective story.
Yeah.
Okay, so the problems are clear. They're significant. What can we actually do? Are there solutions? Initiatives?
Thankfully, yes. There's a lot happening. Dark Sky International and experts like Amy Burnett really push the 5 principles for responsible outdoor lighting.
Okay, the 5 principles, what are they, sort of, in essence?
Basically, use light only when it's needed.
Makes sense.
Aim it down where it's needed. No upward spill. Use only as much light as necessary, not overkill brightness.
Right.
Use warmer colors like amber. Burnett stressed this. Less blue light is better for wildlife and our own sleep rhythms.
Okay, warmer colors, less blue.
And finally, use controls like timers or motion sensors so lights aren't just on all night for no reason.
Targeted, shielded, appropriate brightness, warmer color, and only when needed. That sounds achievable. What about individuals? Simple steps.
Burnett mentioned some really easy ones. Motion sensor lights for your own home, great example.
Yeah.
Simply drawing your blinds at night stops light escaping from inside.
If true.
And maybe the biggest thing, she said, is just talking about it. Talk to your neighbors. Talk to local businesses about why responsible lighting matters.
So raising awareness locally can make a real difference.
Hmm.
And organizations like Dark Sky International are coordinating this on a bigger scale.
Definitely. They do huge work informing the public, advocating for better policies. Their website has tons of resources for public outreach, too.
And they have that program recognizing places doing a good job, right? The Dark Sky Places.
Yes, the International Dark Sky Places Program, or IDSP, it's been going since 2001. It formally recognizes communities, parks, reserves, places really committed to protecting dark skies.
The list mentioned different types: sanctuaries, parks, communities,
Yeah.
even urban night sky places.
Yeah, it shows it's possible in different contexts. Burnett highlighted Fountain Hills, Arizona. They became an international dark sky community in 2018.
And they're near Phoenix, aren't they? A big city.
Exactly. It shows that even near major urban areas, if you have good lighting policies and enforce them, you can protect the night sky.
That's really encouraging. And Flagstaff, Arizona, they were the pioneers.
They were the world's first international dark sky city back in 2001. The Dark Sky Cities list points out their long history, partly driven by wanting to protect the views for Lowell Observatory there.
And there are others now. The list mentioned places like Borrego Springs, Dripping Springs, Sedona.
Yeah, it's a growing movement, which is fantastic to see. And Dark Sky International also helps people who want to create actual laws, lighting ordinances at the city or state level.
Guiding them through the process.
Right, understanding how government works, getting community support. It's about systemic change, too.
And if listeners want to get involved in educating their own communities, resources are available.
Oh, yes. Dark Sky International's website has a whole section with materials for public outreach presentations, flyers, fact sheets, all that stuff.
That's great. Now, I know there's also that special center in Fountain Hills.
Ah, yes, the International Dark Sky Discovery Center, the IDSDC. Their booklet describes it. It sounds amazing.
What's the focus there?
It's really about exploring that connection between dark skies and well-being for us and for wildlife. They have a hyperspace planetarium and inspiration theater. Cool exhibit names like Immersion Zone, Einstein Exploration Station.
Sounds very engaging. Aimed at education.
Very much so. STEM education, research chances for university students, maybe even high school internships down the line, the booklet suggests, and just generally informing the public.
So a real hub for dark sky awareness and learning. They're fundraising for it too, I saw.
Yeah, the booklet mentions their efforts, gifts, pledges, and this launch crew program for people to support the center's creation.
Okay, fantastic. Circling back to wildlife for a moment, Burnett mentioned a tool for tracking bird migration.
Yes, Birdcast. She recommended it. It gives migration forecasts, kind of like a weather map, but for birds.
That's useful. How does that help?
Well, you can see when major waves of birds are expected to pass through your area. And that's the perfect time to be extra vigilant about turning off unnecessary lights, supporting those lights out efforts.
Connecting the forecast to action.
Exactly. And Dark Sky International actually partners with groups like the National Audubon Society on those lights out initiatives. It's a collaborative effort.
So even if you live somewhere really bright, like, say, Chicago, like that listener asked Burnett,
Yeah.
you can still help by finding your local Lights Out chapter and participating during migration season.
Absolutely. Burnett stressed that. Every light turned off in a big city can potentially save birds' lives during those critical nights.
That's empowering. And she had a tip for window collisions, too.
Oh, yeah, the UV reflective decals. Apparently, birds can see them, but they're mostly invisible to us. You can get them at places like Wild Bird Unlimited. Simple fix for a deadly problem.
Good practical advice. And one last wildlife point for the red light. Why is that sometimes better?
Right. She explained that for many nocturnal animals, red light is less disruptive to their vision compared to bright white or blue light. That's why you sometimes see it used in zoos at night, for instance. Less impact.
Okay, got it. Wow, we've covered a lot. This has been really illuminating, ironically enough.
Yeah.
So, if we boil it all down, what are the main things for you, our listener, to take away?
I think the big ones are, 1, light pollution is a real, serious environmental issue. It affects wildlife, our health, energy use, everything.
Right, it's pervasive.
2, it's relatively new, historically speaking. And 3, and this is the crucial part, it's reversible. We actually can fix this with smarter choices.
Through conscious effort, community action. It starts with individuals, which reminds me of that Jane Goodall quote Burnett shared.
Oh, the one about impact.
Yeah. You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make.
It really is. And that leads to the final thought for you, listening now. Think about your own lights, your relationship with the night sky. Maybe even try Amy Burnett's challenge. Go find some real darkness. Ask yourself, what kind of difference do you want to make for wildlife, for yourself, by maybe embracing a little less light?
Definitely something to consider. We really encourage you to check out the resources. Dark Sky International's website is packed with info. The Birdcast app's useful. Look into the Discovery Center. Learn more. See how you can get involved. Thanks for joining us in this deep dive.